On Tshwane FM 93.6.
Hello? Khulekile. Msimanga, unjani baba? Sharp man. Ready? Yeah. 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 Ready for me? Yeah. Ready bapoza ngisho. Nyagizo maruno uyakhathanyana lapho uhase yangisho. Yeah. Ngiyakuzwa ke manje. Sharp. No, linde la planning no so bangena manje. Hey, tata. This one titled Wang Siza Baba. It's a song by Shui Nomtekara. What a lovely tune, man. It is a Monday evening, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mokete Radebe, your news pioneer. And of course, 29 minutes have gone since the hour 6 o'clock. If you just jumped in, thank you so much for joining us. It is Tshwane FM 93.6. We are the station that continues to rock you most, and we are definitely coming through to you live on Facebook. It is Tshwane Space FM Space 93.6. If you're joining us on YouTube, rather, it is Mokete Radebe. Otherwise, on Twitter, it is at Tshwane FM, at Mokete8. It is Mokete_Radebe. How nali Facebook kana check out Tibo's Radebe as well, more Facebook. Come on, I didn't tell you man. And yeah, man, today it's a lovely Monday evening. It is the socio-political aspects of the capital. To look at very interesting matters. It's all about nation building. If you're all about that, so you are definitely on the right platform at this point in time. On the line, we're joined by Mr. Khulekile Msimanga. He's going to talk to us about a vehicle that is dedicated to taking children on a wonderful adventure. But it's in the African bush, man, with Melos and his special animal friends. The title of the book is Melos Kingdom, and Msimanga, who's fathering this Melos, is going to talk to us about that and the many interesting things that we should be expecting around that project. Msimanga, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us, Baba. Kunja.
Good evening, Mr. Radebe. Ngikona kunjani?
Hayi sivukile mani ukuba kukho ngabe senzwile.
Super. Thanks for having us, and good evening to all your guests.
Thank you so much. Just short and sharp without a waste of much more time. Melos Kingdom. I think the book is in stores. The book is all over social media. It is a buzz, but little is known in terms of what really brought about this book. If you can just take us through the background of this book from its inception. Just take us through what provoked the thought to bring about Melos Kingdom.
Sure. So the idea initially came to Prof. Matron Sewelo, who is Melos' grandmother. The idea came to her when she was coming back from London. So she was watching a movie, Christopher Robin on the flight. And essentially coming back to that, she brought Melos a big pink elephant. right? A toy elephant. Unfortunately, not a real one yet. A toy elephant. And that toy elephant got the name Mzinga. Now, Mzinga, Princess Mzinga, is an Angolan princess who fought the Portuguese. Now, a strong character who fought the Portuguese from the history of Angola. Now, Mzinga was also a nickname of Roses, who's Melos' mother, who's also one of the authors in the book. Now, the theme, essentially, the idea rather was that, this is Mzinga is coming to highlight or remind Umelo of her royal heritage, that she is a princess, and as such, she has a kingdom, Now, the idea is this must not be restricted just to Umelo. The idea is that all children, boy, girl, all of you are princesses, you are princes. Now, having a kingdom, there's a lot of things that you need to learn, a lot of things that you need to become, things that you need to be, and things that you need to hear. So this book is essentially here to guide. And I want to say children, but it's actually the child and the reader. So whoever is reading it for the child or with the child is really something to take away here, in terms of growing in values, kindness, compassion, working with others, self-belief, and positivity. For me, I look at this book as an instrument to intercept a lot of negativity that we find ourselves, as young adults, we have a real opportunity to intercept that, among children. Now, what it does also then is it teaches these values through a number of different stories. And the setup is that each story is coupled to a proverb, to a lesson, and it's backed up by a Bible verse. So there are Christian underpinnings throughout the whole, and activities as well for children.
But Khulekile,
an example, there's an activity where, the child gets to write down, gets to draw what they are good at, and to write what they are good at. And that stuck with me. There's a lot of things in the book, but that stuck with me because it's something that if you were to take 10 adults and ask each one of us really, truly speak positively of yourself and what you are good at and what you have brought here on earth, we struggle, we struggle. And that's why even if you look at an interview question, someone says, tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? It becomes a copy and paste. Your strengths are my strengths. We can all work in a team, So there's so much negativity that we have an opportunity to intercept with this book. And another thing that I want to highlight is the fact that these animals that are here, these are Melos' friends in her kingdom. And the importance of using a wide range of these animals is we wanted to bring home a message of diversity. And that diversity is actually a strength, which I think is a much needed message in our country. It always has been, but right now more than ever before. So I hope start to paint a picture, in terms of what this book is. So yes, it's about Melos' kingdom. But there's something to take away for other children, and in fact for the parents as well. There's a lot of reward in reading.
Now a quick one. Children like toys. Why did you go for books, man? Why did you not go for dolls or immortal? Why did you want to just put all this, lucrative, monumental information in books? What is the thinking behind that?
It's a good question, and the thinking behind that is, yes, toys are definitely a big hit, or dolls or whatever they may be. Merchandise is a big hit, but we want that to be founded on something. Yeah. So we wanted this to be laid down first, and especially because, toys, the format of toys, the toys that if we were privileged might have had when we were 5 or 6 years old, aren't necessarily the same toys we have now. But the stories, if you think Tom and Jerry has been the same for, I don't know, half a century. So we wanted that story and the values and the teaching behind this to be planted into children, because we know that when that happens, we have the societal impact. Then we follow it up with the toys. The toys are building on something. The merchandise is building on something. So the door isn't shut to that possibility without any. I'm not commenting concretely on anything, but that's the logic, that's the thinking behind it.
Sure. 37 minutes have gone since the hour 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. It is the station that continues to rock you most. My name is Mokete Radebe. I'm your news pioneer. This is how we do it every Monday till Thursday between the hour 6 and 8 p.m. right here on Tshwane FM 93.6, the station that really rocks you most. And the line was speaking to Mr. Khulekile Msimanga. We're speaking about Melos Kingdom. It's a book dedicated to the fundamental development of young children in the country, but more so through wonderful adventures, exploring the history, the fundamental history, for that matter, of our country and our society. Let's speak about people's wars and contribution, looking at the vision of this country. What are the few niche areas that you pictured when you guys came up with this book? When you guys came up with this vision, what are some of those areas that you saw this book really solving, Khulekile?
So for me, some of the key things that we really wanted to hit on the head here. The first one is, I would say, kindness.
Sure.
And I'll come back to that in a bit of detail. So I would say kindness, I would say respect, I would say self-belief. Now, kindness and respect for me kind of go hand in hand. Now, why I'm starting with that, I wanting to emphasize that is, you see, the older we become, they start becoming quite, they start feeling like things that are nice to have. But because in my mind as an adult, kindness doesn't pay the bills. Kindness doesn't bring me a tangible outcome. It's not something that's at the front of my mind. But if you look at it, here's an example, right? A few months ago, she wasn't even watching these shows, but she could hear them when someone else was watching them. Some of the local, dramas and soapies. Within a week, she's still learning how to speak, but the way she spoke changed in just 1 week. It had such an impact. So a child can grow up thinking it's normal to speak a certain way, behave a certain way, be a certain way, be violent to each other, be aggressive to each other, not be compassionate. And it shouldn't then be, a surprise to us, the things that are happening in society. If I, as a 4, 5, 6-year-old, think it's normal to point and shout at someone, then how is that going to change when I'm 13, and even better when I'm 30 and have got money to back me up? So it's those things in society that I think it's late to start talking about this as adults. Let's get it in for children, but importantly for the reader, for the buyer of this book. They also get to reap rewards from it. And now with self-belief, as a country, I've had the privilege of leaving the country once or twice. And it's funny how everyone, the world is so connected now, everyone knows the challenges of this country. But there isn't as much positivity here as much as when you leave. And you go somewhere, you go to the US, and every second person you tell them where you come from, they'll tell you that they can't wait to visit, they can't wait to see it. If in South Africa, I can't wait to go there one day. And you look at how everyone else is building themselves and selling themselves. It's fully positive. And then I come home, and then hear about Mokete. The problem with Mokete is this. The problem with this one is that the difficulty, we don't even have that. Look, we've now lost that. There's so much self-doubt and negativity. I keep going back to this, that it's like a lift that we really want to lift off the nation. We won't do it for all of us, but I think with this book, it's really an instrument to start lifting that list and saying, guys, look, we have more than we think we have as a country, as a society. Where we don't have the resource or the finance, we have the capability to create. So we will never get there, however, if we are still clouded where we are. So let's think different, let's talk different, let's be different. These are the kind of messages that we're trying to
I want to jump in on something. Permit me to interject you, Mr. Msimanga. 41 minutes. 41 minutes after 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6 is where you're at. Mr. Khulekile Msimanga is with us on the line here. And the discussion for the topic for my discussion with him is Melos Kingdom, a book that has been created to speak life into the many challenges faced by society through children's books. Now, key questions here from Mrs. Matron Sewelo, and actually you'd think that we compared notes, but key questions here, and the second one I think for me speaks so much about it. But maybe let me just jump into this one now. Her question is, as a father to Melo, how do you feel about your daughter being open to the public domain, and what exactly are some of the measures that you have taken as a family to protect her without muting her voice? And this is critical, primarily looking at what usually happens, and Wenzile continues to mention it as well, like looking at what usually happens traditionally with child stars. Look, it's a fundamental thing when we see young children doing so well, and if you look at in the UK, a lot of child stars make it at an early age. In South Africa, we've had a fair share of those as well, and in Africa largely. But the question has always been, will these children be able to be protected? And sometimes not so much from what the public does, but also so much from the attention they'll be getting from the public, because that's a fundamental point as well. Because of you don't want good intentions, leading you to a road that might make you, regret even starting it. But let's speak about in your case, what measures have you taken in terms of protecting her, or without limiting her, so to say? But does it not worry you, the fact that she's going to be open to the public, and also that she's a female? I think there is that without being patriotic about it, but there is that element where we need to from time to time preserve and protect our young women. But as a father, I'm not a father as yet. Does it not bother you?
So that's a good question. And I mean, as a father, the question in terms of how do I feel about the public, the limelight, etc. I don't want it, actually. As a father, if you want access to her, you must come to me, and you won't get there. So I'm that protective over her, as I think a father should. So to kind of mitigate some of these challenges and issues, that also comes back to your earlier question about the method, what we've done. Because if you look at the book itself, there isn't any imagery that you can link exactly to her. So there's a character in the book which is, it represents her, but there's nothing here that looks like her. And if you look at the rights, especially of the book, the rights here are to Melos Kingdom, between us and the publisher. So no material that has her face on it will actually be out there. And even as, as parents, in terms of when we introduce this book, a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people are going to see it. But in terms of seeing the person behind it, it's not even the person behind it per se. The people behind the book are the authors. So in this instance, we are putting in those kind of measures to say, look, even when it comes to issues like merchandising, there's no need for her physically to be involved or present in any of this.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, if you compare to something like films, if you had gone straight up for footage or for a movie, it could potentially become more complicated, because now somebody might think, well, let's have her there. And then they would have to deal with a lot of other issues, primarily for me, because like I said, as much as we have all the best intentions, we do know that there's elements of sickness in the society.
Yeah.
So we don't want an instrument like this to fall victim, and a child to fall victim of some of the things that we're trying to eradicate, actually.
Interesting. It's 46 minutes after 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. It's exactly where you are. And we are on the Capital Talk, man. We're speaking to Mr. Khulekile Msimanga. I think important information really for the listener at home. Sabak's really kancanyana, but what is important for them is how much is the book? How do they access the book?
So the book is available. I'll start with where it's available.
Yeah.
Because when you start with the price, you run the risk. Even then, I mean, the book is available at exclusive books, at CMA, Kun Books, takealot.com. It's now available also on Amazon, and we also do direct sales. On that note, I must also mention that on the 5th of December, there's going to be a market at 374 Rousseau Street in Maryfield, Pretoria. I can send you the details after, then you can circulate that.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We'll be selling copies. The book is available for 200 rand. Now, the reason why I was saying start with the price, sometimes people can get put off. But it's 200 rand with, 20 stories where you think, hang on, but these are life lessons that the child and the reader could be learning.
I hear you.
There's a lot of value. It's got activities, it's got, scriptures, it's got parables. So the idea is this is actually just a trigger for learning. The learning doesn't stop. This is a catalyst.
Correct. 48 after 6 o'clock, Mr. Khulekile Msimanga speaking to us at this point in time. Khulekile, just for interest's sake, do you one day see Melos Kingdom being adopted in primary schools? And in one of the comments, I remember seeing an adult saying, this book made me, I could relate so much with this book. It took me back to some of the memories of my childhood. Do you think these are books that could actually, evoke those emotions of, me growing up, where adults can also benefit from them? And also, do you see it as a book that can be used in basic education, especially in our country?
I would like to think so, and I'll tell you what. Actually, I would want to see it there. This is why. So the teachings that are in this book, it falls in a gap. The gap between what parents sort of expect teachers to do and what teachers need parents to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about this, look at how life becomes for most parents now. I mean, what's the time now? It's almost 7 p.m. Ordinarily, parents are still on the way home now.
Yeah.
And this is going to happen 5 days a week. When is the parenting going to happen? I mean, you can check your homework, but and shout out to parents that are trying, that are it's difficult. I'm a parent, I know. This is not judgment. We were not perfect. We fell short. Now, you go to school, the teachers have a curriculum. They have things that are set out to teach. So at what stage can a teacher start teaching things that are beneficial to the world, like compassion, like self-belief, like working with others? Because working with others, we say play sports, sport teaches you, but what if I can't play soccer? What if I start playing rugby at the age of 14? From the age of 6, 7, when I started school, up to 14, where was I supposed to learn? Working together. We even have it as political slogans about working together, but when must I learn it, So this book really covers a lot of steps that would make the life of parents and of educators better. It sort of catches where people split up. And I, as a parent, I got to my child's school and they were learning these kind of lessons. It would definitely be a thumbs up from me.
Sure. 50 minutes after 6 o'clock, and that is Mr. Khulekile Msimanga speaking to us. Khulekile, just before I let you go, a quick one on social media platforms and anywhere where people would perhaps need more information with regards to the book, and maybe if there's other people that would like to partner with you guys in any way possible, how can they reach you guys, and where can they sort of also follow you in terms of social media?
Okay, so in terms of reaching, I got the number. This is a number that they can use. they can use 072 083 5631.
Do you want to repeat that once more?
It's 072 083 5631.
Okay. Oh, you got the permission to give out this number from the relevant structures?
Yes. No, that's a number that can be accessed for this purpose.
Okay, interesting. Uska gredor bao shapa kunkunga awakopa permission.
No. That's fine. On Twitter, they can contact me at Msimanga KN. At Msimanga KN. So the KN is uppercase at Msimanga KN.
And on Facebook?
On Facebook, Khulekile Msimanga. I'm there on Facebook. Instagram, again, Khulekile_Msimanga. That's where I am.
Yeah, no, they won't miss you on Instagram. You're the one who's a sport fanatic there.
Exactly.
Mr. Msimanga.
So the easiest and quickest is the number that I gave you.
Yeah.
Just hit me up on that number on WhatsApp. It's available.
Yeah, that's 072.
And we take it from there.
Yeah, 07208356331. That is Mr. Khulekile Msimanga's number. 07208356331. That's where you can engage with him if you have any inquiries with Melos book. But Msimanga, thank you so much for speaking to us and have a lovely evening.
Baba, thank you to your listeners. Cheers.
Sibonge. 53 minutes have gone since the hour 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6 is exactly where we are. I want to take one song. When we come back, we speak to Matron Sewelo from Kalafong Hospital to speak to us about World AIDS Day. When Msimanga says, please open a page for Melos Kingdom of Melos Kingdom Family of Melo. Yeah, no, I think that it's about time. If you're unable, actually, I'm ready to volunteer that service for you. Quick break. When we come back, we hear just music and we speak to Matron Sewelo. It is World AIDS Day coming through briefly.
Tshwane FM 93.6. Your station.
Tojana yati sele, mahloma sweu, wahohela, sekithile sifahleo, waratea, lihara batho watsotea, kankeli kahari wabuhela, sifubenki mafika, twalia mo Afrika, mahlakulenki wasakana, kamura ukimarala, uhoto, upei, ukaprohoto, uchiso fika moto, kikalaka ustamu bantwete, Mufumani wasipili, kimufumani, kimutoti, usali wa mkunte, kimufumani, wasipili, usali wasipili, kimutoti, usali wa mkunte, ulisika la mubini, manapo haitini yalitia. Small model, Lisa hotel, how will you want in master? Little too late, trouble late. How do I come to be not me no pony lane? Love Kanyamela, Dilimolim, Kilau Emela. See who making my finger. Twaliamo Africa, Matagurin Kimasakana. Kamura ukimarala, wanabatu uhoto, ubei, ukabrampoto, uchisa fida moto, kitana kabuska mbantweti, mali, mali wasipili, kimutozi, musari wa Mufumani wasipili, kimufumani,
Hello? Hi, how are you? I'm great. It's Mokete from Tshwane FM. Are you ready for us? Hello? Is it Matron Sewelo? Are you ready for us? Hello? I can't hear you properly. I can hear you now. Are you ready for us? Yes. Are you ready for us? Awesomeness.
I want to rock with you.
Hello?
Yeah, please stay on the line, eh?
Okay.
Young people, you must learn how to speak the language properly, especially Unamanyana. We really get 700. Make up lemons, color, get 300. So it's called Poncho 1000. And then you guys look so beautiful, but your English is not as beautiful as your looks. And then you important in public places. Also, when you're high and a trauma. When we punch you back, you come to do it. Why go to your police station to stop order?
The best.
Tshwane FM 93.6.
It's 7 on top of the hour, and we are about that time, man, where we're discussing World AIDS Day. And at this point in time, we're joined by Matron Sewelo, all the way from Kalafong Hospital, to speak to us really about this important day in our midst. Matron, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm great. You are one of the people entrusted to talking to us about one of the most difficult yet important subjects in our society. When we speak about HIV and AIDS, not a lot of people would want to talk about it. I want to take you back, and I think not so long SABC2 was actually playing some of these stories. There's a story, I think, in SABC2 that played on Fridays. I'm not sure if it's still playing. Barry Hanyane. it reminded us of how much talking about HIV and AIDS was such a stigma in our society, so much so that if you were to talk about it, or if someone had HIV and AIDS, you were regarded as someone that is cursed, and that's how difficult it was. And people like you are actually strong characters in our society, because you guys possess the capabilities and the character, the posture that is needed to address this fundamental topic in our society, and we appreciate you for that. But yeah, with those words, welcome. Thank you so much for giving us time to talk to us on this subject of HIV and AIDS and World AIDS Day to a larger extent.
Okay.
Now, yes,
hello?
yes, Matron, you can jump in.
Okay. I've already been introduced. I'm Matron Sewelo.
Yeah.
Just heading the health department in Kalafong Hospital.
Yeah.
AIDS is an acronym. It's AST, which stands for HIV, AIDS, sexually transmitted infections, and TB.
Oh.
We advocating for people knowing their HIV status and being initiated on treatment.
Sure.
And for one to know their status, one has to go for a test.
Correct.
And be initiated on treatment.
Correct.
Yeah. And the deterrent for most people to take their test is still stigma and discrimination to date. And many people only get tested after becoming very ill and being symptomatic. And in this case, they end up being started on treatment late. So hence the department has embarked on this approach that we call UTT, meaning universal test and treat.
Sure.
Where we initiate people on ARVs, antiretroviral drugs, immediately after being tested positive. You remember those days, 2004, when ARVs were started, we were checking the CD4 of the patient. But now, because we have seen the benefits of people testing and being initiated on treatment, we initiate them before they even get sick.
And obviously, over time, things have changed. Do you think that people now have a better understanding of the concept living a positive life? Do you think we've actually accepted it as a society that if a person is HIV and it's HIV, they can still be able to live a healthy and positive life in our society?
Yeah, there is notable achievements that we can celebrate. Because people are now have an improved quality of life, and most people are really coming for testing. And there is a lot of understanding. People know that it is a manageable chronic disease. You just take one tablet per day. It's unlike other conditions where you take a lot of treatment. All you have to do is just take one tablet. You choose a time that is suitable for you. You take your treatment. Your quality of life improves.
Sure.
And since we started this program, there is no longer a lot of deaths. In 2004, I can take you back, we had a lot of deaths. Most of us lost our loved ones to this condition. But now there is a lot of people, and most people are even able to talk about it. Though there is still stigma and discrimination, but a lot of people are coming out.
Now, in this, in this current dispensation, largely, what are some of the critical concerns that you guys as health professionals have in this space?
The challenge now is some people, once the quality of life improves, they forget that they are HIV positive and stop taking treatment and become resistant to treatment. Then we have to start them on new drugs,
sure,
which are not so nice to tolerate.
Interesting. Now let's speak about the World AIDS Day. What's the background around that?
The World AIDS Day it originated
as
the 1988 World Summit of the Minister of Health on programs for AIDS prevention.
Sure.
Since then, every year, the United Nations agencies, government, and civil society will join together to campaign around specific themes related to AIDS. So it's a day that is commemorated every year on the 1st of December.
Sure, interesting.
In combination with the UNAIDS.
And what are some of the key pillars that this day seeks to signify and introduce to the public?
What is most important in this is to rope in everybody, for all of us to unite so that we can, fight this pandemic and this epidemic. Because now it's still there. There is a lot of conditions now COVID, but now people think HIV has gone away. So for us to, focus on this day, commemorate it, is to know that it's still there. And we are also having this 1990 strategy, because where we want 90% of our population to know the HIV status, 90% of those who know the status to be on antiretroviral drugs, and the 90% that are on antiretroviral drugs to viral suppression. So that's why we focus on.
Interesting. 8 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock, Tshwane FM 93.6 is exactly where you are at this point in time. That is Matron Sewelo speaking to us. Matron, but before we let you go, if there's anything that people at home would definitely need to know from you, and also in terms of the celebration of the of World AIDS Day, what is it that is expected from the public?
Tomorrow we will be giving health talks in all key areas. We will be distributing to our patients and also distributing condoms. One other aspect that I want to take our listeners to take home with is that we don't refer patients that are stable after being started on antiretroviral drugs to our local clinics. Our patients must not interpret this as being taken away. The aim is for them to get their treatment nearer to their homes. At the clinics, they can also have points where they can get their medication when they do their shopping, like over ShopRite and Clicks.
Interesting. 9 minutes after 7 o'clock. For more information, if someone wants more information, perhaps they didn't get enough clarity, Bakafonela Mankai, where is there a page they can follow?
Yes, we have a contact details for the clinic. The adult clinic is 012-318-6775, and then for our pediatric clinic for the children is 012-318-6494, and for our HIV testing service is 012-318-6413, and our services are free.
Interesting. 9 minutes after 7 o'clock, Tshwane FM 93.6. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Matron Sewelo. May you have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Awesomeness. 10 after 7 o'clock, Tshwane FM 93.6 is exactly where we are. I'm going to go to more music. When we come back, we speak to Professor Barry Hanyane. He joins us all the way from the Northwest University, and we'll be speaking everything Zondo Commission related. But of course, also just checking news that are making headlines at this point in time. Remember that there is picketing around their colleagues there who are at the South African Broadcasting, the SABC. On air South African Broadcasting complaints colleagues who are at the SABC protesting there, and just looking at as well just the the larger scale in terms of the news that are making headlines in that regard.
Angithi, all of you here, you can talk right, Angithi. I don't talk right, I'm well spoken. Angithi nina manphuma ku school trip or ku school outing, bengibiza kanjalo nithi school trip or school outing. With us it was an excursion. And when you guys came back from your school trip or outing, all you someone, no wonder I would tell you something about 100 school children died in a bus accident. When we came back from our excursion, what we sang was, thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, bus driver, bus driver. Thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, for the great drive. That was us. And if you guys don't understand, I'll break it down even further. I'm eating that business. No. 2 little birds. That was us. But Kapila 2 little birds, everyone can sing, but the pronunciation will tell you what kind of a school you went to. Mouse of the 2 little. It's not little, it's little.
The best. Tshwane FM.
Giselle Brothers on this one, it's Utando, a very interesting one as well. 16 minutes have gone since the hour 7 o'clock, and we are officially in the second and last hour of the show. Still tuning in, it is Tshwane FM 93.6, the station that continues to rock you most. This is Tshwane FM, rather the capital talk, right on Tshwane FM 93.6 with your news pioneer, taking you all the way till the hour 8 p.m. I'm checking news that are making headlines, and as it stands, the MK veterans, President KB Maphatso has distanced the association from a statement released by its spokesperson Kalafong, one in the State Capture Commission against filing a criminal complaint against former President Jacob Zuma. Has distributed a statement telling Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo that it was ill-advised, unwise, and perilous to lay a criminal complaint against Zuma. Last week, Zondo asked the Secretary of the Commission to lay a complaint as well as to approach the Constitutional Court to see if it was possible to compel the former president to appear before him. But isn't it funny that the spokesperson speaks and the president says the spokesperson spoke wrong? And the game was the spokesperson. Maphatso told the media that the statement was a mistake. The association remained concerned about the Zondo Commission going after Zuma. Amazing. It's been an afternoon of heated exchanges between Council and former South African Revenue Services boss Tom Moyane and Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan at the State Capture Commission. Moyane was granted permission to cross-examine Gordhan, and this has seen accusations of racism against Gordhan and Moyane being belittled, all of which was being denied. Moyane's lawyer, Advocate Dalimpofu, presented a transcript of a conversation between Gordhan and Moyane, which he said proved that Gordhan was arrogant. Moyane also said that Gordhan was petty when he excluded Moyane from sitting at the head table at a budget media conference. Both said that Gordhan gave then Deputy Minister Mcebisi Jonas instructions to sideline Moyane, even though he was the first SARS commissioner to collect 1 trillion. And as it is, that Mpofu said that you accept that he was the first SARS commissioner in the country to collect 1 million. Mpofu put to the minister, and Gordhan said it might be correct. I have to check the records. It was an interesting discussion. I think that was happening there. 18 minutes after 7 o'clock, still checking some of the news that are making headlines. Now, the 3 children who died after being electrocuted in a stream in the Chigacho informal settlement in Pietermaritzburg have been described as well-behaved, with many committee members saying that deaths could have been avoided. The bodies of 6-year-old Gift Dlamini and 8-year-olds Ernest Dekwa and Buhle Buyeza Chili were recovered from a stream which contained illegal electric cables on Saturday. It is understood that the children entered the stream for a swim without adult supervision. Dlamini's mother, Sewelo, said that she believed that her son's death could have been avoided if there were recreational amenities for their children in the area. It's a long one. Dekwa's mother, Tabile, said that the incident was taking a financial toll on her. Hectic stuff happening in that state. Furthermore, Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan today said that he had no first-hand proof that former South African Revenue Services boss Tom Moyane worked with or conspired with the Hawks and the National Prosecuting Authority, even though he said this in a recorded telephone conversation. Moyane's lawyer, Advocate Dalimpofu, presented a transcript of a conversation that at the State Capture Commission that he said proved that Gordhan was arrogant and racist. Over the past week, there were more than 6,400 new infections. Cape Town has seen an increase of more than 2,900, and the Garden route has risen by more than 2,600. Provincial Head of Health, Dr. Keith Kloot, said that as of yesterday, more than 1,100 people were admitted to hospital, with over 700 in Cape Town and 242 in the Garden route. 578 in the public sector, 526 in the private sector. So now, like the first time around in late May, when the public sector overtakes the private sector, that's when the pressure of the public sector ramps up. And now that's how things are getting at the Hoedspruit and Tygerberg hospitals, who have been filling up quickly, especially the intensive care units with COVID-19 reports on that. Furthermore, student leaders have vowed to fight for the commitments of the Fees Must Fall movement of a 0% fee increment at universities across the country. Student leaders have rejected Higher Education Minister Ben Zamande's proposal of a 4.7% university fee increment. They said that it made absolutely no sense to increase fees for the 2021 academic calendar due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Student leaders are warning government against increasing fees for the 2021 academic year, saying that they will not compromise on resolutions by the fees must fall movement. That's SRC President Pendulum Feka said that they've been painted rascals who don't want to pay for fees, wanting everything for free. It makes no sense why fees should go up by 4.7%. The Mayor of Cape Town's SRC President Tikren Dia said that a 0% fee increase was non-negotiable, and particularly around the 0% fee increase, and they will be working internally to drive that through the university bodies. Last week, Minister Nzimande said that if a fee compact at public universities had been put in place with the intention of ensuring that institutions were able to remain sustainable. Rescuers today retrieved one body from a disused Zimbabwe gold mine where dozens of informal miners were feared trapped inside since a shaft collapsed last week, officials indicated in a statement. Around 40 people are thought to be stuck underground in the town of Bindura, around 70 kilometers, which is 43 miles northeast of the capital, Harare, where the disaster occurred 5 days ago. Now, 6 miners were rescued and taken to hospital within hours, after which rescuers' efforts were hampered by heavy rain and groundwater flooding. Rescuers and volunteers have spent days pumping water out of the flooded shaft and pulled a first body out of the rubble today. That is one male body that has been retrieved this afternoon from the tunnel that was stated by government spokesperson Nick Mangwana. At this point in time, this is where we leave it for our news at this point in time. 23 minutes have gone since the hour 7 o'clock. We want to take a short break and come back with Professor Barry Hanyane. He comes to us from all the way from the Northwest University.
93.6, Cap City's #1 radio station.
Professor. Prof? I can't hear you properly. Maybe let me call you again.
Capital Breakfast
On Tshwane FM.
Monday to Friday, 6 till 9 a.m. #Rise to the morning.
The people have spoken. Unlock room 912.
Good morning, my favorite lady, Lena.
Hi, how are you?
How are you, Melos?
Yes, Prof, I hear you much better now.
You make me to
Okay, stay on there.
I'm asking myself to room myself because of your voice.
Don't want that, Prof.
Thank you.
Professor?
How's your day?
So good.
Hello?
If I hear your beautiful voice, oh man.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Prof? Hey, yeah, no. Nekuto when started, but now I don't hear you again. Okay, hold on, let me do this. Okay, I hear you now. Awesome.
Room 912 weekdays on Tshwane FM 93.6.
Yo, what up, it's your boy Questa, the car, good boy, your day one, K1 representing, and we out here, you tuning into Tshwane FM, brother. Mind out. Wait, where you going? Where are you going? Stay right there. Tell me that.
Hello, what's going on? This is Mr. Zuma, and you are listening to Tshwane FM. Zaga, Ziggy, Mr. Zuma, the fact that you took a shower after having unprotected sex with an HIV positive woman, believing that it would minimize your risk, has really angered AIDS activists. What is your response to their criticism?
But if we have been in the kitchen, my dear, peeling onion, you wash your hands, not so.
Sure.
What was funny about washing your hands after doing something, after washing yourself? What's the problem?
But Mr. Zuma, AIDS is a big problem in this country. And saying things like
and
taking a shower.
Hygiene is a big problem in this country. Clean yourself.
2:06 after 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6 is exactly where we are on the line. We're joined by Professor Barry Hanyane, and he's joining us all the way from the Northwest University as we discuss numerous issues in the socio-political space. And, the issue around the Zondo Commission and the scuffle between Tom Moyane and Pravin Gordhan and the treatment that many people are alleging that it seems different to certain parties. But here's Professor Barry Hanyane. He's the expert. He'll assist us on that. Professor, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on that.
Good evening to you. Good evening to you.
Let's run that.
Hey, Carson. Come fresh from Madimole, where we had a reunion with my high school guys, and unfortunately came back yesterday. Swollen knee, I can't move, I can't do much. I don't know whether it's too much playing with other children, because we started Copa Reisegwa and then went to Mudimolo with the high school guys. And here we are. We can no longer play anymore until such time that one's health is back to normal. But otherwise, good weekend. A good day today, productively as well. And let's close this year on a high.
Yeah, because now I'm reminded that when you were heading to that trip, you were supposed to bring me my books, was it? But it's fine. We'll discuss it on the flip side of this.
And then yesterday it was just a mess. Friday, we should have met on Friday, but then we came fresh from Paris, our strategic planning meeting for 2021. And this is the wrong season. I sort of undermined the responsibility of marking for exam purposes. And Friday was just a mess altogether. So I owe you double lunch. How good is that?
Yeah, no. I think that would be better. Zondo Commission. Yeah. What do we make of what, especially, has been transparent in the media space at this point in time?
Yeah, today was a milestone, isn't it? A cross-examination successfully applied for a top-ranking official in government. We've never had this before. I think if there were any in my short memory, I will admit, I don't think we've come to this high point in terms of popularity, in terms of the complex nature of cross-examination as a legal exercise. And today was just precisely that. But it will be not an easy walk, rather. It will present challenges, so much at stake, and more often than not, a particular behavior may very well be examined, not only from a legal position, but more so from a political position, which then brings in all those ideological underpinnings, which by and large are neither here nor there. But given the nature of the South African audience, you are likely to get input from that perspective. But otherwise, I can suspect that the Deputy Chief Justice is probably somewhat under pressure as well to wrap up this exercise on a high note come early next year. And I would imagine how frustrating today's events in particular were like in his mind to say, if only there was time, if only there was enough resources, if only his work could continue, so that some kind of comprehensive reporting may very well be the order of the day one day.
30 after 7 o'clock. I'm seeing also, various views where, I'm looking at Dalimpofu's, corner. What he's saying is that what is also picking up, or the evidence he has, suggests that, Pravin Gordhan was just racist and quite arrogant, having a vendetta against Tom Moyane, although he appeared to be the most effective, leader of SARS at the time. What do you make of that? Do you think that...
Look, this is a commission of inquiry.
Yeah.
It's not a court of law. I think we start to distinguish all these activities from that position. And surely the element of peculiarity when it comes to managing the affairs of the commission vis-a-vis the affairs of the court of law, where a judgment is likely to come, we will always draw a line between that and, of course, fact-finding, which is rightly so evidence-based. But that said, it doesn't mean that people do not habitually want to demonstrate certain attitudes, and of course receptive to whether is it a confrontational behavior or whether it's outright, hostility.
Sure.
It's difficult to measure that to the core when it comes to issues of commission, which is, as I said earlier, is driven more by evidence, by wanting to establish facts, as opposed to a normal legal trial. These two are different. In this instance, I think the audience needs to be careful. What is it that they see? How do they interpret certain behavior? And where do we classify that particular behavior? We should not use our own discretions and at times indiscretions to classify certain behavior because of our very own assumptions. I'm tempted to say biased assumptions, or safely because we know the rivalry of the two, one at times perceived as a protagonist and the other perceived as an antagonist, depending on which perspective you come from, or school of thought for that matter. So I wouldn't like to enter into that space.
Yeah.
I would rather say, let's observe behavior from both sides. Very interestingly enough is that the issue of power relations between the two camps will always come to the fore. The issue of advantage of space, I've seen that working today. I mean, a cabinet didn't have, appeared, right, let's underline that, appeared not to be, not under pressure from Moyane's legal representatives. And again, I think we would have seen a different story had the system allowed the two gentlemen to go at each other. So, hence, as I'm bringing in the element of power relations, that with a representative on the other hand, already our very audience are saying, but Dali is somewhat confrontational. He's not interested in issues of the facts, in legal matter. He is there with his preconceived notion that Praveen definitely erred, both legally and perhaps administratively. So let's not read too much into what the audience are suggesting, but rather apply our own scientific analysis.
Yeah.
And from there, create a template that advises us what is the attitude of both. Who's likely to be convincing? Is it a confrontation of both at another space? Is it the issue of trying to reach some kind of balance in relation to power? Let's not forget, Praveen still holds power, as opposed to Tom. Tom is not neither here nor there. And what case, he is on the back foot. He's no longer holding a government position. This is what I was trying to say earlier on.
Hey, this power high.
Power relations, it can be looked at from different angles, but one of them holds an upper hand. These are issues that I'm interested in.
Interesting. I just for a moment want us to jump into some of the court proceedings. I think this one is by Dalimbofu. Just briefly.
Yeah.
I'm playing one now. If we can just listen to the clip and then we're going to jump back into it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
report, which was released in October, November 2018. Did you believe Mr. Moyane was involved in state capture, yes or no?
The indications were certainly there.
Did you believe that Mr. Moyane was part of state capture before the Nugent report? It's a simple question, Mr. Kotan. Really. You want the country to be watching this.
Yes, Mr. Kotan.
Can I respond?
Yes.
In my statement, at various stages, and thank you for your request, paragraph 14, page 14, and I quote, I must emphasize that my knowledge and my understanding of state capture, like that of the rest of the country, evolved over time. In other words, as one began to see certain activities,
yes, and honestly, and Mr. Kotan, the best way is to start by saying, yes, I believed that Mr. Moyane had participated in acts of state capture. That's what you believed before the Judge Nugent report. Or you start by saying, no, at that time I did not believe so. And then you might be asked from when you started to believe that he had taken part in state capture. If you start the answer like that, it helps to make it clear what the answer is. And then if you need to clarify, then you can clarify in due course.
Thank you for your guidance.
Yes.
You said that in my own words. I said that I certainly picked up activities. I gave examples of some and many others, which indicated that this was eventually what we call state capture of an institution known as the South African Revenue Service. Thank you.
Yes, but I think it's not clear yet because Mr. Pofu's question relates to determine the time when you.
Tshwane FM 93.6, keeping you on top in Cap City.
I think we just heard that one, Prof. Just briefly, it suggests to me that there isn't clear-cut answers in terms of which is which, but it's exactly what we were talking about. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was a little bit blurry, but I can follow it up given the availability of the video itself on YouTube. Look, I think it follows very directly with the Sitakane argument, if you remember very well, when he when he represented Zuma, and seemingly there is this appetite to want to enter into a conceptual space that is marked by the need to define what is and whether there is consensus on that. But again, here is a political concept that seems to preoccupy the legal minds, and invariably it's used for defense purposes. Again, depending on who you're defending. You know, I've made reference earlier on to the Sekakane presentation, once again before the same commission, arguing vociferously that state capture is a political concept, and therefore it cannot be used to measure nor justify the behavior of certain persons, even going as far as labeling a particular behavior as state capture. That is an intellectual debate. It's not a legal debate per se. And I'm afraid this line of thinking and presentation is likely to be with us until the end of this commission. Because certain people would want to advance that argument that nobody in this country is guilty of state capture. You need to come up with an alternative charge, if there is a charge in a state of inquiry, that says so and so committed a wrongdoing and come up with an acceptable label that says that wrongdoing is this and is therefore accepted in both the language as well as the meaning of such a behavior as being perceived as erring on the side of law. So it's getting complicated, as I said, it's interesting if we only had time not only to respond verbally, but to start writing about what is emerging now. And I can understand students in our universities who are doing law. I'm hoping that they are taking notes and they are learning from this experience how to argue, when to argue, and maybe in the end, how to manipulate an argument to your favor as well as that of your client.
4-2 after 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6 is the station that rocked you most. Professor Barry Hanyane joining us. Prof, there's others who are unconscious, who are believing that, quite frankly, the state, this commission, rather, the State Capture Commission, is just a waste of money. Do you think that this is a wasteful exercise, so to say? Do you think there's lack of accountability in this regard?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, Dr. Radebe. I've begun a certain journey of my PhD focusing on this area of state capture. And I don't want my bias or biases, as it were, to cloud my judgment.
I hear you.
But to be more direct, at least to be sympathetic to your question, I think we needed to hear the kinds of realities, the kinds of stories, the kinds of anecdotes, you know? And sometimes these anecdotes bring home a certain unique sense of political humor. Call it satirism. I will accept that. Remember when baking powder and magwinya were used as instruments of analysis. Who would have thought that? But at the same time, to the extreme side, who would have thought that there are people who kept records of transactions, as well as have the courage to come forward and risk their lives to give us the facts from their own perspectives. We're not saying they're right, but they have a story to tell. I'm talking about all those witnesses who came forward in the hearing.
Hello, Prof. Professor. Yes.
Not being compared in their own way, but at the same time, we do appreciate the significance of
we seem to be missing you there, Prof. Yeah, we seem to be missing you a bit there. Do you want to move around?
I'm stationary. Remember, my knee is swollen, so I can't move much.
Yeah, you're better now. You're better now.
Okay, much better. Okay, so if you take those points, we can add and say that there are so many stories, there are so many anecdotal accounts that I think have we not received the stage and witnessed what has unfolded, I don't think we would have an idea of the extent and the depth of corruption, at least in the last 15 years. I know there's an outcry there that state capture, if this is what state capture looks like, then surely state capture has been with us for so many decades. I don't want to enter into that space. Once again, I can sympathize with such voices, and what is critical is to look at the current terms of references of the Zondo Commission and begin to appreciate the amount of evidence that is beginning to emerge, and of course the trajectory of how 2, 3, 4 issues are pointed towards a particular direction in getting us to understand what really transpired.
Interesting. 46 minutes after 7 o'clock. Professor, this is where we leave it for today. Your closing argument to the lesson at home?
Yeah, No. I'm in the office, but I'm leaving now. I think I'm beginning to lose concentration on given the team fields. Tomorrow is another day. I think let's keep reaching.
Professor?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, well, I was missing you a bit there, but thank you so much, Prof. May you have a great evening there. Awesomeness. 46 after 7 o'clock, that was Professor Barry Hanyane speaking to us. I want to just explore some of the footage, man, that we're seeing on social media from the state capture inquiry there that is happening in the Zondo Commission. Interesting feed that is coming in those spaces there. I think it's something that we can all learn from.
Now, okay, would anyone know that? That's the question I want you to answer.
If ever we then request the detailed component of the swap itself, then we can apportion what the stuff is.
And did it?
In this case, yes, disclose 11 basis points to me.
And did you disclose that to anybody else? Because I've asked you earlier.
From an accounting perspective, that was not how we accounted the instrument, financial instruments.
So does that mean you didn't disclose it to anybody else?
Yes.
Thank you. So nobody inside AXA would know, other than you, would know that on this transaction, let's take the standard transaction where there was complete disclosure at standards insistence. That transaction, regiments have been paid 22 million rands at AXA's expense.
To the extent through a self-check, that the settlement agreement does not stipulate the normal movement. But half the time, the settlement agreement must stipulate what are we settling between the two parties.
Well, can you point me to a single other person at AXA who would know that regiments were paid 22 million by standard and that AXA was paying that back on the swap to standard?
Through a self-check, I don't remember who were in the outside at the time, so I can't report anyone.
Can you say with certainty that there would be anyone other than you who would have known that regiments had been paid?
Grab your ears around 93.6.
What are you listening to? Huh? What are you listening to? Huh? What are you listening to?
Tshwane FM, you don't go. Tshwane FM, 93.6.
If you wanna para shele kaya lamwe, if you wanna para shele kaya if you wanna para shele kaya lamwe. If you wanna para shele kaya lamwe, if you wanna para shele kaya lamwe, what's on? If you wanna para shele kaya lamwe, what's on? Oh, it's a one of Magasha. Can you forward what's the name? Puxa.
Your music.
What's up? Yo, what's up? You're listening to the best.
Yo, it's coming towards you.
The best.
Tshwane FM 93.
Zonke likana on this one, we andithanda now. That is Emakamereni. That one was from our listener actually at home. That was actually Usufuna Emakamereni by Bahube. That was requested by our listener there. That is Opera Queen KM. Who said, that's what we played for her. We Tanda, this one is by Zonke. Good evening.
Baby, Cupid is your name, yeah. And I don't care what they say. I'm down every day, every day. They're gonna come be strong, I'm not every day. Ooh, every day, every day. And they look at my baby every day. Love the way you love me. I love the way you love me. I love the way you love me. Ooh. I've never seen a love like this before. I'm tired of I'm gonna sit baby, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna sit at the same time. I'm gonna get down, baby, every day. You love me every day. I've never seen a love like this before. Ooh, I'm trying to baby every day. So I get to go so for me now.
Mokete!
Hola, hola.
How are you, Mokete? Are you good?
I'm great, man.
What's up, man? You don't have headphones, bro?
Nah.
Don't see. No headphones. And Carlos didn't leave his keys. Who? Come.
No.
He didn't leave his keys.
Are you guys next?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm signing out.
I love the way you love me. 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 I love the way you love me.
Okay, please take 2 songs back to back. I want to smoke myself.
5:09 after 7 o'clock. That is Zonke Dikana. It's a song titled Uyandithanda. Now, this is where we leave it tonight. The Pebble City Nights is coming through, backed by popular demands. That is with the 7th, all the way with Tado, kicking it up all the way to midnight. And I just want to leave it on this one as we begin this week, just also starting up or leading out all the way to December. A lot of things have been said about you, and a lot of you guys are disgruntled. But Mzilikazi wa Africa shared this interesting one. It's a quote by Augustine of Hippo, and it says the truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose, and it will defend itself. So sometimes you need not to defend yourself. You need not to try and make people understand, because you know the truth, and that's what it takes. The truth always finds its way out, and you must just let it loose. It will find its way out. It's 8 on top of the hour. Be sure to rest upon your earphones and tune in to the best nighttime show coming through between now and midnight. That is April the 7th and Tado on the Pebble City Nights, backed by popular demands. From me to you, thank you so much. More love. I'm back again tomorrow, same time, same place. it is what it is, man. Tshwane FM 93.6. Thank you so much for always being with us on our station.
93.6.
This your boy Drake.
#1 music station.
So your man's always taking
Turn the radio on.
93.6.
hot new music.
Just like fire. What's up? This is Pink.
Tshwane.
I know that I'm running out of time. Just like fire. Turning up the world.
The people have spoken. Unlock room 912.
Yes, lady, Lena.
Hi, how are you?
How are you, Melos?
Oh, good thing, good thing.
You make me to every time like I'm lose myself to room myself because of your voice.
Oh, wow, thank you. Please continue. How's your day?
So good. Just let me hear your beautiful voice. Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not guy, man. It's not everyone who's alive on air. The lady is like you. Why was it well? Oh, man, come on, that is so much.
Room 912 weekdays on Tshwane FM 93.6.
Tshwane FM 93.6. Cap City's #1 radio station.
Hey, Matron, what if what if Nelson ran as president of Matron? South Africa. You man come on over Tshwane. Put on Facebook book and ask about him. Man, when you never mix it, there's a cancer. And why it was one of the snacks. President of the Goma Vegan, not so I thought the robot was over again. I am at them from Kunne. Hey, yellow, I didn't tell you to take a no Atamarwa, Emma, Tabanodiran,
Capital Breakfast
on Tshwane FM.
Monday to Friday, 6 till 9 a.m. #Rise to the morning.
Angithi, all of you here, you can talk right, Angithi. That's the problem.